Now look at this. The currency is hugely undervalued. So any foreigner buying into South Africa, you're buying a bargain. Not only that, we've got a bond market, a very liquid, very special bond market, very special financial market. The bond market is very liquid, very well run and organized, and very much integrated with the rest of the world. So you've got a cheap entry via the currency and buying into an amazing, attractive yield. I mean, this must be a screaming buy. So we're just waiting for the political, issue to be sorted out. Without a doubt, I will start considering, and in fact, even before this political shenanigans, the South African bond market were one of those asset classes that we really do prefer. Not the rest of the asset classes necessarily, but a bond market that gives you this sort of return, you don't find it anywhere.
The current Minister of Finance, what it is, he's going to be implementing a political instruction. So therefore, I'm very worried about his credibility and the credibility of financial markets. Dawie talk about efficiency. That efficiency will continue. But I think a lot of the allocation of credit to the real sector will take very, very long because of the credibility issues. So I think the next 3 years, we're probably going to continue on this very low growth trap until 2019. When the forces will shape themselves. So this is going to be a war of movement and a law of positioning across society.
I'm a bit more of an optimist about the departure. Yeah. I actually think it is imminent. It's not going to happen this week. It's not going to happen kind of like out of this meeting that's happening today.
How does it happen?
Look, I think the most powerful structure that is going to get rid of him now is the caucus in Parliament. I think that is, maybe it will not be the motion of no confidence that is proposed now, but I think in a matter of months, it is actually going to happen because it's the one structure of the ANC that he does not control directly.
That coalition that formed around the renegade was one of the building blocks of that conversation. Yeah. What it lacked was legitimacy from the president and all the people that are controlling him, who gave the ANC that list that Mr. Mantashe was saying. It didn't seem as though it came from him because he didn't engage. So we need the state to engage now, because I think as far as the labor and business and the treasury, we have that. So let's bring more people into that. And I think that will be the formation of a new political settlement with a mandate for growth and inclusivity. Because without growth, we may design a scheme that will integrate as many black people as possible in the economy. But without growth, it's not going to happen at all.
And we're talking politics here all the time. And the biggest victim, and I think this whole thing, has been a debate about policy, economic policy and fiscal policy particularly. We've forgotten about what's really going on in the budget. Now, I think, for example, I think Praveen Gordhan, I think Mr. Jonas, they are really good, really nice people. They're friendly people. I'm just thinking to myself, what you can do with 600 million rand. That's a lot of money. But we've forgotten to ask you about fiscal policy. And I'm afraid if you look at fiscal policy, look at economic policy generally in South Africa, there are many things that we are missing out. And we just don't talk about those sort of things. Things like, for example, procurement, as an example, is simply accepted as the final truth. Yeah. And other things like, for example, unemployment. Do we have an unemployment problem? I would argue no. We have an employment problem. Just get the emphasis right. If you really want to empower people, start when it really matters. And it starts with primary education. That's how you're going to really empower people over time. So unfortunately, in this whole political twilight in which we are currently finding ourselves, the real issues that is going to determine the long-term wealth and prosperity of South Africa is simply ignored. We just don't talk about it. And many of these untruths, in a way, are simply accepted because the major issue is politics and the major issue is not economics the way it should be.
After Marikana, there was a conversation that started then, basically. And it was a big conversation that was starting about the priorities, what should happen. But then, very structurally, after Nenegate, that, we wasted a great momentum about that big South African conversation because you had government, you had business, you had organized labor, all in the same room and doing the same thing, working towards a certain purpose. That conversation also happened around the National Development Plan. It's not perfect, we don't agree I mean, like across society, not everybody buys into every single aspect of the vision and the way to implement that vision. But actually, it is the only blueprint that we have. I mean, like you do 30% of the NDP, we could be getting somewhere. And so that is happening. We do have a blueprint. We don't need to go back and actually start from scratch. We have the structures. I mean, like I know that everybody disparages NEDLAC as kind of like as a toy telephone and so on. But actually, it's a structure. It's there. Let's use it. The NDP is a document. It's there. Let's use it. The policies that we have in place, your BE policies, your implement equity policies, and whatever other policies kind of like around change, if there was a will right now to implement black economic policy, black economic empowerment as is currently constituted, again, it's not perfect. But actually, you could achieve a lot in terms of just moving the needle. Yeah. But there's no political will to do that. I mean, like we want to shout and like kind of scream and like, yeah.
Rights. There's nothing more important than private property rights. They're broad definition thereof. That includes things like, for example, the right to sell your labor and stuff like that. But coming back to policy, what is government policy? And that's the thing that we need to debate. And we should have asked Mr. Jonas these questions like, for example, why is it that that if you look at the rolling budget of the next couple of years, there's just a continuous increase in state spending? Isn't that the major issue? Don't we need a Minister of Finance that actually cut back on state spending because the fiscal wheels came off the last couple of years? That is the reality. And those are the sort of things that we need to be debating about. The rest is there. The social structures are there. The political structures are there. We have to make use of the other institutions, like, for example, the Parliament and the constitutional courts. And I think we're going to use it. And eventually, with a bit of luck, through the constitutional processes, we can get rid of this major elephant in the room in South Africa. But in the meantime, we forgot about talking about the main things that really do matter, the things that affect business in South Africa, and that's a total excessive tax burden. It's a massive red tape in South Africa, making it extremely difficult to grow businesses in South Africa.
This is now, unfortunately, the darkness before the light. I said earlier on that my optimistic view was that before December it was going to happen. Here's my pessimistic view. Is that unfortunately it's going to get very ugly. It is going to get very physical.
Sure.
Yeah.
People get hurt.
People will get hurt. Yeah. And
in fact, I mean, if you listen to Nomvula yesterday, she was agitating for violence, which for me was quite striking, because here's the minister, talking to ordinary South Africans who are her constituents, and agitating violence, and petrol bombs and shambles. I mean, it's quite extraordinary.
But even if we do get rid of Zuma, and if Zuma goes tomorrow morning, even if he goes quietly, the damage to the South African economy is absolutely massive. I mean, the state-owned enterprises, the debt levels, I've made some numbers on Eskom. The damage that Eskom has caused to the South African economy. We're not going to get out of this tomorrow. This is going to take us many, many years.
And it's the easiest thing to do, to wreck something. Rebuilding, they have not even started to rebuild now. They're kind of like, they're doing some funny currency that they're kind of like bond notes and whatever. But rebuilding from what we've been put through here is going to be huge. I mean, like, it's going to be such an uphill. And because of precisely those reasons, what the damage that has been done to every institution, the damage that has been done to the economy, the damage that has been done to our way of doing things. Just to add on to that, it's noise. Let's make a lot of noise. The worst thing that we can do as a people is to surrender, is to put our hands up in the air and say that's the way it is. That's how countries fail. That's how nations become failed states, when the public says, it's the way it is, man, what can we do? And I think that's the most important thing, the noise that's being made. Whether it's on social media, whether you're going to protest, whether you are writing to the editor, whether you are on radio, but
Make a noise.
Make a noise.